Hello, it's Diane with Diane's BlueHeartsAndButterflies.com. I am back with another butterfly card that we're making for the September class. And this idea, again, was something that I saw Dawn Griffith on her YouTube channel had made. And I'd been seeing cards with the pull tab that flipped open. And I really loved that idea and technique, so I wanted to use that for a technique card. And then it also opens for a message on the inside. I used the Beauty Abounds stamp set and the Butterfly Beauty Thinlits for this card, as well as the stitched shapes. I used the 3 largest of the stitched squares for the pieces on the front that are stamped and put together. And I'm using some of the stamps from this stamp set to do this. And then I also used the Thinlits for the grouping of butterflies, and then I cut those apart. Now, some things that I have learned with this intricate die, some tips that I wanted to kind of share with everyone. The more intricate die, that is the one that kind of goes on the front, it's very delicate, has a lot of little pieces, and it's kind of hard sometimes to get the Tombow glue in the right places without it getting out and making things sticky. So there is these adhesive sheets that Stampin' Up! Sells, and if you take kind of basically the size of a card front of cardstock, the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, the dies will fit on that, and you'll take that piece and you'll actually put that on the adhesive sheet on one side and the back side of it, and then leave it on the sheet. These pieces come apart. Of course, right now it's going to be. There are kind of 3 sections to this, but the sticky part is on this backing piece, and so you would pull all of these together and pull that forward, and then you would adhere the front of the cardstock that you want up on the front on top of this back piece where the sticky is, and then fold this back over it, because you can use this underneath the Thinlit to help it to come out of the Thinlit better, the pieces. And then there's a few other tips to help get some of the more intricate pieces out. One of them that I saw was using a dryer sheet at the back. These sometimes can irritate some people that are allergic to chemicals or smells, and so that might not be a great option for them, but it could work, and I've heard of much success. Another lady that I watched, she actually sandwiched her paper and adhesive sheet and everything in between the wax paper, and I tried that last night, and it did come out fairly well. The adhesive sheet kind of holds some of those pieces in, but if you pull the backing off, those pieces tend to just come out from that. I'm also using the Designer Series paper, the Flowers for Every Season. I just kind of fell in love with those colors and the designs, so that's what I wanted to use as the front on my card. So let me pull all the pieces out here so that we can get started. You will need the card base, which is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 sheet of cardstock. You're going to score that at 4 1/4, and then fold that in half. and burnish that score line. Then you're going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock for the inside. This is 5 1/4 by 4, and that will go on the inside of the card. There is also a piece of Whisper White or whatever coordinating cardstock that might go with your designer series paper or something. It could be, if you have a different color that might coordinate, you could use that instead of the white. But this piece is 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and that will go on the front of the card. You will also need a piece of designer series paper that is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2, and I had just a little piece, that sliver that I kind of cut off when I was preparing that, and I thought that would be cute to use on the inside, so I just kept that. Then you're going to need a piece of your coordinating colored cardstock. This is the piece that will actually make the pull tab. So this piece you will need is 2 inches by 6 inches, and then we're going to need to score that at 2 and 2 1/2. I forgot to grab my trimmer, just one moment. Sorry about that, I thought I had this already scored. So we'll score that at 2, oops, and then again at 2 1/2. Let me get that out of the way. And then the stitched squares, like I said, I used the 3 largest. The largest one I cut out of the coordinating cardstock. The second to largest, I cut out the coordinating cardstock and the white. And then the third to the largest, I cut out another piece of white. These two we will be stamping on, and then these will create the layers for those. So before we get to stamping, let me show on this pull tab piece. So here is your 2 inch and your 2 1/2 inch score lines. You're going to use the scallop tag topper or any other tag kind of punch that you would like to use to create a little interest on this end, a little pull tab. And that's why we chose 2 inches, so that it would fit in this punch. And you push it all the way in so that it sits up against there, and then you're just going to punch out that end, and that creates the little end there. So let's do some stamping real quick now that I've got those done. And I'm going to be using the kind of polka dots that came in the stamp set, and also the other little kind of mini dots to add some interest. I'm using the Cinnamon Cider, the Bumblebee, and the Misty Moonlight for this card. And sometimes when you're using these and you want to be able to read your message, you may want to stamp off first before you stamp it on, so that it doesn't overwhelm the image. Sometimes you like it to stand out, so I'm going to just stamp this a couple of times on here, and then one time over here. Don't need the Bumblebee anymore. And then I'm going to take the Misty Moonlight, and I'll stamp that a couple of times. This one I may want to do kind of another one just in the middle. Alright. Hope that I'm getting that into the camera. And then the cinnamon cider, I'm just going to use that kind of speckledy look, and I'm just going to kind of stamp that in the middle. This one I'll stamp it a couple of different times, trying to get it to turn. Okay. And then I'll bring out the Memento Tuxedo Black. I like the saying that's in this: our friendship isn't one big thing, it's a million little things. And I'm just going to stamp that. Onto the front piece. And then the other one onto the piece that goes on the inside of the flap. And with these inks, it's good to just hold it there for a little bit and let it soak in to the cardstock. So we'll put those out of the way. Now we'll bring back in our little pull tab, and we're going to go ahead and score the burnish the score lines for this. Excuse me. It's really smoky out here in Fallon, Nevada. The fires over in California are being brought in, the smoke and stuff over here, so it kind of plays havoc with my allergies. So this is the other part that makes this work, because you want to have this tab kind of hidden. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your classic label punch, and then you're going to, whichever side you want to have on the front, you're going to have that facing you, and you're going to push it in all the way into here, and then kind of line it up a little bit top and bottom to where you want it, so that it's kind of centered. And then you're just going to punch that out. This is where you're going to actually insert the pull tab and have it going here so that it can pull through. Now, the other part that we're going to need to do is figure out how these are going. Let me put these together really quickly. Go ahead and layer these pieces. And this one is going to go on the front, and then the other one is going to go on the inside. You're going to want the front one to only stick to this portion right here. So I'm going to use the tear and tape in that section to hold this piece. Burnish that so that it can hopefully come up easy. So make sure that this is facing the correct way, and then you're going to line it up close to, but not right exactly against, that score line, kind of lining it up so that it's in the middle, and then you'll just push that one side down. Then you'll take and open that up, and this one you could go ahead and adhere this piece all the way up to this next score line, but again, you don't want to have it interfere with it folding or opening. So I'm just adding some adhesive to just this square piece, and then again you will line this up kind of up close but not over that score line, and then try to get it evenly spaced top and bottom, and then push that down. Now, before I get too far, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece to the card front. Kind of a little fatter border around here, and then I'm going to actually let me put a little adhesive on. I'm going to do it on the back side of this cardstock because I'm going to put adhesive there anyway, so I could add just a little bit of adhesive runner here. And then I can put this along one side. Here. And then with the scissors, just snip off the excess. You want to do that before you stick it down, otherwise it'll stick to the to your card base and you won't be able to get that off. Then you'll finish adding your adhesive. Here, and put this on the inside of the card, leaving your little bit of border. Then you're going to slide this one in here. You want to line this up through the slit so that it fits kind of loosely, and maybe before we do that, we're going to add a little bit of tear and tape. Where you're going to want this is on this side of the let me see, hold on, just let me read it again, make sure. The right side. So to the right side of the smaller square. So, yes, it is on this outer side of the smaller squares. You're going to want some tear and tape there. You want it to fit or stick pretty well so that it can hold that in place, because that'll be what holds it here, so when you pull, it pulls this open. So you're going to want to stick that on the outer side. So what you do after you get that here then is line this up where you want it in the center of this cardstock or designer series paper. Hold it in place, tear off your tear and tape, fold this whole thing, keeping it together, back over, and then just push down on that outer side, and that's what holds that in place and keeps it moving. Now, you don't want to put this directly down here because it won't give a room for it to maneuver. So what you're going to do is, using your dimensionals, is put several of these around. You want them on the outer edge, and then a little bit right up around here, but you don't want it where this mechanism, this pull tab is, because it will stop it from working. So I'm going to put these on kind of all over. Hold on one moment. Okay, now that we have those here, I can tear off the backings. I've seen some demonstrators use their take your pick tool with the piercing attachment and able to pull these off, and sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't, so I just using my fingers. So now we're gonna kind of eyeball this and get it centered over the white. Kind of push that down, and then this pull tab piece, it's a little bit short, so what I'm going to do is take some of the Misty Moonlight ribbon, just a little bit of it, and I'm going to put that through here, the hole in the scallop tag topper. But I didn't want to really have a knot to make it stand up too much, so just grabbing my stapler to staple that on there, and it just goes together like that, and you have this little pull tab. Now for the decoration, I just took the and put the butterflies together, but I'm just going to use the smaller ones, so I'm kind of cutting them out like they would normally look with the rounded edges on the correct butterflies, which means I kind of take some of the pieces out of the big butterfly, so I end up throwing it away, but it's going to be a really pretty effect, and the big butterfly doesn't fit on the front to be able to keep opening it, so I'm just using these other four, and it's a matter of just choosing which ones you would like to go on the front and which ones you'd like to go on the inside. And then I just used the mini glue dots kind of strategically placed so that they're not seen. Excuse me. And just kind of, you don't want them to where they're going to hang over and not allow this to open, so you need to keep that in mind when you're placing these. Excuse me again. This one's going to flap out, so it doesn't really matter. And then I placed I guess if you wanted one, you could put one in here, but I didn't really think I needed one there, so I'm going to put these other two on the inside. Just kind of put those where you'd like them. And then if you want, you could add some bling to the ones on the front, just to give it a little more interest or some cute style. But anyone would be happy as a friend to receive something that's very cute, that they could kind of look at, and it does kind of stand up on the counter too. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. It's a little more technique driven than a simple card, but it really was something that I wanted to learn how to do and to share with others. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will also check out my blog at Diane'sBlueHeartsAndButterflies.com, and my YouTube videos will be linked there along with the card recipes. And if you check out my videos, please subscribe and click the bell so that you can know when I upload some more videos. And thank you for watching.